Welcome to In Therapy with Sean Logic. I'm your host, Sean Logic. Hey, Sean, good to be here. Today, we're talking about finding your calm. I could use some of that. Let's dive in.
Al Storm. How you doing, Al?
What's good with you, man? What's good with you?
Good, man. Just enjoying this weather.
Oh, man, we in West Michigan, Holland. We trying to get it in. We only got a little bit of time left, you know?
Yep. So I'm not trying to be pushy here, but we're going to get right to the questions. I know normally we do the beach podcast thing,
Logic,
so. All right, first of all, tell us where you were born.
I was born in New York, man. I was originally born in New York. I grew up in Long Island, a little bit of Queens, a little bit of Brooklyn, and then I ended up kind of leaving New York to come to Northern Virginia, D.C. area. So yeah, but I was born in New York.
So what was the contrast between being a kid in New York and in Virginia?
Man, that's kind of crazy that you even bring that up. Like, the transition was kind of crazy for me. So, all right, long story short, I like to tell people I got Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. So basically, I was about 7 or 8 years old, and I was hooping with my cousin, and he was actually a little bigger than me or whatnot, or he was older than me, but I was bigger than him. Like, so I looked older, and we were just hooping at the courts, and this is in Brooklyn, New York, and they had to been like 13 or 14, maybe 16. These kids came to the court, and they were like, "Hey, we want your ball." Basically, they were trying to take our ball. We weren't having it, so we ended up grabbing the ball, cussing them out, and running. And I remember, like, it was vivid. Like, I was probably about 67 yards out, probably 60 yards or so. All I heard was, "Hey, kid." I turned around, and it was a big, those old school, back in the old school days, those 40 ounce, I think it was an Old English 40 ounce bottle, hit me right in the face.
Wow.
And it landed me square right on my nose, right on my face. Didn't know what was going on. So my face is bleeding. I'm about a block or two away from home. So we're walking. I'm with my cousin, and I'm literally just holding my face. Not a word. Nobody said a word to me. Literally bleeding out of my face. I walk about a block and a half, get to my building, and we get in the elevator, get to the apartment, and then
How did your family react?
I got rushed to the hospital. I got basically my face was cut open, had to have plastic surgery. So they basically, I don't know if y'all can see, my whole face was cut open.
Yeah.
So this scar actually it healed pretty well. So they basically patched me back up. A week later, I got in a fight in a hallway, same neighborhoods, same building, in my building, and I got slammed against the wall, busted my face open again.
Wow.
So my mom's like, "We're leaving. You're leaving. We're getting you out of here." So I ended up actually going to Canada. My mom's cousin had a shelter. She ran an orphanage shelter. So she shot me to Canada. I was there for a couple months, and then I'm Haitian, so when my parents, or my mother rather, my uncle and my mother and my grandmother, they came over to the States. My aunt moved to Paris, France. She married a race car driver, so she was in Paris, France. So I ended up going from Canada to Paris, France for a year. So I'm in Paris, France for about a year. That was crazy. I had to learn how to speak French on the fly. Ended up learning how to speak French fluently that whole year.
Do you still able to speak French?
You know what? My whole family, when we have the family reunions, like, they refuse to speak in English to me. So I speak in English. I respond in English, but they speak to me in French because it kind of, if you're not around it, you kind of lose it or whatever. So, but by the end of the weekend or so, I kind of pick back up on it or whatever. That's funny you said that, because if you don't use it, you lose it, kind of. You know what I'm saying? It's Creole, so I'm Haitian, so it's like a broken French or whatever. So I ended up going to Paris. It was so crazy. So I'm American. I'm in Paris, France, and everybody knew I was American. All they wanted me to do was the Michael Jackson. All they wanted me to do was the moonwalk, and I was able to, and I could do the moonwalk. So it was kind of crazy. I was the American kid that could do the moonwalk. and left there. Ended up going to Northern Virginia, D.C., and that's kind of where I kind of started my upbringings. Basically, I went.
So how did you transition from troubled kid to top tier rapper?
I don't know about top tier rapper. I don't know about all that, but I think, for me, I had my first kid at 17. I've been on my own since 16. So, just I've had every type of job you can think of. You know what I'm saying, under the sun. Plus, I didn't have a dad growing up, so I definitely leaned more to the streets. You know what I'm saying, and kind of like, they were like my family, so to speak.
Right.
Was a great athlete. I was a basketball player, I had dreams of going to playing in college. I was good enough to be a Division I athlete. It didn't kind of pan out that way. But that's a whole different story. You know what I'm saying? I ended up playing arena football.
Right. Before we get into that, tell me a little bit about your history in rapping and how.
So basically, like from the question you asked me, being on my own and having to provide for a girl and a baby and all that, I ended up just kind of trying to get a job working. I ended up getting a job working at the movie theaters during football season. I stopped playing football and continued to play basketball, and then ended up having to drop out. And then so from there, I really hit the streets heavy, started hustling, and kind of made a name for myself hustling. To be honest, I'm not really proud of it, but I was in a desperate survival mode. Ended up.
When you say hustling, like, what are we talking exactly?
Oh man,
everything.
I really didn't dabble in everything. I mean, I kind of stuck to the weed. A couple of the rails, the e-pills it was circling, but I kind of stick to the bud, man. I had a connect on the West Coast that was coming from the West Coast, and he was coming down and he was taking care of us, so I was able to pay my mom's rent.
I want to elaborate on that a little bit more, but first, I kind of want to know, how did you go from street hustler to arena football?
So crazy. So, I ended up getting off the streets as far as hustling and went legit, put a shirt and tie on, and I started being more in the corporate world and eventually, figuring things out, and went through a divorce. And right before I went through the divorce, a buddy of mine, I ran into a buddy of mine at a bar, and he was always like, "Yo, you're a great athlete, man. You're supposed to go to the NBA, this, that, and the third. Do you do anything?" I was like, "No, all I do is take care of the family and work, bro." You know what I'm saying? So from there, I went out to play semi-pro. So I went out to play semi-pro, and there was an arena team looking at another kid that got kicked out of Maryland University, and they were trying to get him to play arena football. And I ended up having a good game. Had a couple interceptions, had like 12 tackles. So they approached me, they asked me where I play football at, and I was like, I'm a basketball player. So they're like, oh, okay, so where'd you go to college? I was like, I didn't. They asked me to run a 40 right after the game, bro. They asked me to run the 40. I actually never ran a 40 before. I didn't even know how to get down in three-point stance. I ended up getting down. They showed me how to get down three-point stance, and I ended up running a 4.5 40. And I've been on the road for the last 15 years. That's how I even got to Holland. So, you know what I'm saying? I've been on the road 15 years. The first year, I ended up getting my life back together. As far as going through the divorce, I ended up, when I asked for the divorce, and then so I felt very obligated to make sure she had everything. So I gave her both the cars. She asked for everything. So we went to the bank. I got everything notarized. And the team sent me $300. And I went to Marion, Ohio, played for the Marion Blue Racers. From there, I made my way to Saginaw on the east side, and I really haven't left Michigan since. I went from Saginaw. I played for the Saginaw Sting at the Event Dow Center. Then I went to Port Huron, and I told my agent that I need to get out of here. I can't. It's just getting too cold. I couldn't do it. And he said, "Have you ever been to the west side of the state?" I was like, "Nah, I haven't been to the west side." And he said that at that time, arena football was just making a comeback back in West Michigan. And Muskegon got a professional team at that time. They were called it was the L.C. Walker Arena. Now it's the Mercy Health Arena. And he's like, "Go check out the west side." I'm like, "Bro, get me out of here. It's too cold. I can't do it." Long story short, he paid for me to come over here. I came over here, and I really have not left, and it's been a blessing to my family. You know, living on the west side of the state, being able to utilize the beaches, getting my kids for the summer times, it was a no-brainer. So, you know, I did that for a while. And
So you go in dad mode.
I went dad mode, you know, when I had to. You know, I left my family with on a whim to try to make it, and I ended up betting on myself, and it worked out. But you know, it was just a hard transition.
But now you're doing that later in life, getting married.
Oh man, so
before,
yeah,
tell me
there.
about. I mean, because I know playing ball and being a musician, things could be wild, man. Tell me about how things were before you met your fiance. Like, was it wild women, cars, everything?
Oh man, you know what? It's so funny you said that. So when I came here, I actually was with somebody, and I was with her for about 5 years, bro. And it ended up not working out. And I told myself I was not gonna get a relationship until my kids got out of high school. You know what I'm saying? And I was really stuck on that. You know, like, and they were, you know, for a few years there, I held on to that. You know, and then you know, it just kind of. It got to the point where I just wasn't really feeling where I was at, you know, in that space. So I kind of prayed about it, to be honest. I prayed about it, and something just happened. I ended up meeting somebody, and you know, right now it's been going on 2 years that I've been in a committed relationship. You know what I'm saying? So that's new for me.
2 years, huh?
Yeah, it's new for me. I would say that. We'll leave it at that.
All right. So you guys live together?
Actually, she lives out of state. So this is the second year we're together. She's actually getting ready to move in. So we're gonna kind of, you know, take the relationship to the next level. So.
Where does she live now? What does she do for work?
You know what? Again, she fits my lifestyle. You know, she's a massage therapist. You know, I'm the oldest guy in the country still playing professional arena football. I just turned 44, and you know, it's kind of hard to stay on the field if your body's not right. So she helps me with that. That's what she does.
Okay, I think you over here said she was a missionary at one time.
Yeah, man. So she's a missionary. That's another thing that's what grabbed me. To be honest,
because you're a man of God.
Yeah, I'm a man of God. You know, I'm a born again Christian. So that's the whole thing. So you know, living the single life, you know, it was cool for a while. Like, you know, and for me, I never try to lie to women. You know what I mean? I was really kind of straightforward. This is where I'm at. If you can meet me where I'm at, then you know we're cool. And if you couldn't, I wasn't trying to hurt nobody or mess with anybody's, you know, heart, that type of thing. So it was one of those type of things. I was in a good space, and then it just kind of hit me one day, like, yo, like you're not living right. You know what I'm saying? And so I prayed for this woman to come in my life, and it's just kind of happened. And it's funny, you know, we serve a merciful God, but he also, I feel like he has a sense of humor, because, you know, I feel like he's been asking me to do Christian rap for a long time. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, and I'm like trying to plead with God, like, give me a second, God, let me get my story out. I'm coming. I'll be there in a second. And it's just funny how he works. You know what I mean? Like when you know, we have free will, but at times that, you know, when God's nudging you to do something.
Right.
So piggybacking off of that, he brings me this woman into my life. She's a missionary. She does all these things, and she's trying to bring centers and do things overseas. And then with my skill set and what I do, kind of fits perfectly with what I'm doing. So it's kind of crazy how God works. He kind of puts it together for you to put the puzzles together. You know what I'm saying? So,
right.
Yeah.
This might seem like I'm coming sideways at you, but you know, you were a hustler when you were younger, and you kind of like got out of that, started playing ball, got into music. How did you become the legal medical marijuana plug?
Oh man, you know, so this is the thing, man. These kids have it all here, man. Like, I don't understand. Like, our generation, you know, this thing that we have here that's grown in the ground. You know, you could face a lot of time. You know, back in my day, you could ruin your life. You know, messing with that. You know, for me, it was survival mode. And being able to have that opportunity to do that. But nowadays it's like, so I just put my head together like, okay, all right, so now we're moving ahead, times are changing, You know, I've done this my whole life. I've been hustling my whole life. Now, so how can I do this in a way where you're saying it's legal now? So let me do it the legal way. You know, my kid's a little bit older. You know, I want to do things the right way now. You know, I have the opportunity to do things the right way. I'm not trying to do things not the right way, right? Before I had no choice. Now we have a choice. So yeah, just did my research, put my head down. You know, now we're hopefully opening up a shop here in Holland. It's been pretty dope just to see the transition. Just basically trying to, every county is a little different. Like, so Ottawa County kind of opted out of having dispensaries just because the Dutch ain't playing, man. The Dutch don't want to give no money out, man. They keep all the monies in. So they made it a way for people like me to be able to do what we do without bending on any of the rules. So basically, we just kick up money to Ottawa County, and they let us do our thing, and we just follow their rules, and we keep it pushing. But it's kind of cool because Ottawa County is the only one really that kind of opted out. All the surrounding counties are in there, so we're unique where they're not kicking any money to the government. They're not kicking any money to, you know, it's so all the money stays in house for the roads, for whatever they got us going for our county. It goes there, so that's pretty dope. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Right. So besides that, you got a lot of things going on, actually, like currently in life, like musically, you're like the mixtape king.
Yes.
You know, like
yes.
that's a thing.
That is a thing. You know, it's so funny, man. I just kept to my roots. You know, I felt like, you know, I never changed throughout all the genres, throughout the mumble rap, and then you got these kids that are emotional, that want to sing about depression, and then, you know, the singer-rapper. So I kind of stayed in my lane, and it's coming back. It's coming back to the rappers. So for me, it's just, you know, knowing who I am and staying true to myself now. I've put myself in position.
And you do have that very authentic East Coast delivery.
Yeah, you know, I'm from the East Coast. I'm a punchline rapper, you know. So, and that's another thing that's cool, that I'm bringing that element to Holland. You know what I'm saying? I'm repping for Holland now, and, you know, my records are really are sounding different than what's the sound, the sound that's on the Midwest or Detroit or what have you. So yeah.
Right. So, and then what else you got going? You got the Beach Life podcast going.
We got the Beach Life podcast going, man. You know, I feel like we're trying to do something. I feel like everybody wants to hate on Holland. I don't understand it. They want to hate on Holland, this and that. We don't got rap. Like, we got the best rappers. We got a guy that's signed. I don't know anybody from Grand Rapids that's signed to a major record label. Holland, we have one. We got a guy by the name of 616 Tone. He's a superstar. We're trying to figure it out. You got the veteran myself that just knows, just from being around for so long, how to get to the bag and how to market. So I think, and then we got some heavy hitters. We got DJ Alpha, one of the top DJs. So we're just trying to put it together for Holland, and just try to have where there is an urban presence. There is, you know, we have artists, and we're not always getting looked over the. I see you waving at somebody. Over, you know, the bigger cities. So I feel like Holland has a lot to offer. We're a dope town. You know, the beaches are kind of dope. And yeah, we're just bringing more light to Holland. And we got rappers, man. And at the end of the day, anybody that has anything to say, you know, you can say it on wax. I feel free, because, you know, when it comes to the type of music I do, I don't know anybody that's better than me. So, you know.
All right. Well, I think that wraps it up. Anything else you want to add before we end this?
Man, I appreciate you, man, for your time. And you already know what it is. Alstorm, stay tuned. New music on the way.
In Therapy with Sean Logic. Stay tuned.
Welcome to In Therapy with Sean Logic. I'm your host, Sean Logic. Hey, Sean. Good to be here. Today, we're talking about finding your calm. I could use some of that. Let's dive in.